do the Warriors go now? Draymond is officially back. Steph Curry, they're still trying to build around. What's their next move here, Slater?
They only have room really for some minimums left. So the reality is they're bringing a lot of it back together. And I think, bringing Draymond back on the 1-year deal that they prioritized, Brian mentioned the uniqueness of it. It's about the partnership between Draymond and trust in management, but also management's desire to keep that flexibility. He could have gotten a no-trade clause, right? That he was eligible, I should say. The Warriors did not give him that. So they want the ability to make moves in season, make moves, in free agency potentially next year. But also they're just fine running back this kind of older 37-win core and understanding they're not necessarily part of the title conversation. I talked to Steve Kerr 2 days ago. I have a story coming out on ESPN.com that lays out a lot of his thoughts about this moment for the franchise when I think there's a lot of angst. But, he said to me on the LeBron front that I didn't even realistically think we were in the running for LeBron. It's just that everyone kept saying we were. It never seemed serious to me despite all the reports. So I can tell you they didn't hold off on moves because they were waiting for LeBron necessarily. They always planned to bring this team kind of back together. They didn't make any big swing trades. And, they would have loved to have him either on the minimum or a mid-level exception type number, but this just kind of is their static situation right now.
Right. Harden with the Cavaliers.
Look, James Harden will be re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Both of these sides, James Harden's reps, the Cavaliers, they've been actually working in partnership to give the Cavaliers as much time as needed because of the flexibility to upgrade the roster, potentially use space to get players in to upgrade the team. They got Mario Hezonja done on a minimum contract. I'm told the Cavaliers are still pursuing wings on the market. Another top player available right now, DeMar DeRozan. He's a player that the Cavaliers are among a few teams that have interest in. Miami and Denver also pursuing DeMar DeRozan. But one new team over the last several days that has had some conversations with DeMar DeRozan, the Washington Wizards. You think about a team that's clearly trying to compete around Anthony Davis, Trae Young, and AJ DeBonsa. We'll see where that goes. But the biggest restricted free agent still on the board, Jalen Duren, the All-NBA, All-Star player. These talks between the Pistons and Jalen Duren, I'm told, will be going into August, well into August potentially. Both sides appear dug in on where they're at. The Pistons have a threshold for where they approach this contract with Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren and his reps obviously want more than that and are trying to see where these negotiations go. So these talks are very fluid.
Yeah. Shams, we just heard a little bit of James in his own words on what his motivation was to join the Philadelphia 76ers. But behind the scenes, peeling back the curtain a little bit, what was this process like and how did he land on Philly?
Malika, LeBron James literally put the money where his mouth is, right? Because early in the process, it was very apparent that he wanted to decide on a team where he found happiness, a chance to win a championship and compete at a high level, that this was not going to be a money-driven decision, which is what I told you back at Wimbledon about 25 days ago. And literally, he signs for the veteran minimum contract, the lowest amount that he can go for, 2 years, $8 million with a player option for that potential 25th historic season. And this is weeks of a recruitment by the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, both recruited him. Jaylen Brown also communicated virtually with his agent, Rich Paul, as well in the last several weeks to try to see if they can get on the same page. We know Bob Myers 10 years ago got Kevin Durant's commitment. Now 10 years later gets LeBron James's commitment. Mike Gansey, their new president of basketball operations, he played with LeBron James, against LeBron James back in high school. So that relationship goes deep. He was also an executive with the Cavaliers. But the last hurdle, I'm told, Malika, this week for LeBron James was getting the family on board. His wife, Savannah, his daughter, Zuri, Bronny, and Bryce, his two young sons, is now he's going to be playing on the East Coast. This is a complete family change for them over the last 8 years. He's been playing in LA. Now he's going to be on the East Coast. So getting them all in one vicinity was very important. This week, he was able to spend in Los Angeles with his family after getting, he's been doing the Cavaliers reunion trip. He was in New York for events. Yeah. He was in Puerto Rico hanging out with Draymond Green. And so he's able to get his family on board and decides to sign with the Sixers.
We're going to start with you. Who had your attention after an impressive summer league showing?
Caleb Wilson as the number 4 pick. I know we talked about this being a generational draft, but the Chicago Bulls, more than any other franchise, since they traded Derrick Rose in the summer of 2016, they have not gotten the draft right. The last time they had a number 4 pick, Patrick Williams in 2020, and he's underwhelmed throughout that time. So Bryson Graham and that new front office getting the first pick of their regime properly done is a big thing for them because they've been constantly in the muck as a franchise for the last 10 years. I know it's summer league, but man, didn't he look like a baby Kevin Garnett? He just looked like a franchise player in the little glimpse that we got.
Yeah, so excited to see, of course, what he can do with Thiago Splitter there in Chicago. Dave, you spent a couple days in Vegas on the sidelines. Who caught your eye out there?
Yeah, Vanessa, let's talk about Braden Berries. He goes from a Final Four appearance with Arizona to being top 5 in Summer League scoring, averaging about 24, 5 and 5. He was able to get into the lane kind of with at will, a little bit of a snake dribble to his game. He shot a few threes per game, mid-30s percentage-wise, 2 steals per game. When you talk about a franchise trying to rebuild after trading away the face of the franchise, maybe the best player in franchise history, in Giannis Antetokounmpo, sometimes that can cause a cratering effect. But if you hit on a guy like him in number 10, that's a great value pick for John Horst.
Yeah, it really was. And Braden stood out, it seemed like, in every game out there. Slater, who stood out to you?
Darius Acuff. He wasn't particularly efficient, but he had a high usage there. 29 shots his first game, 100 shots in his first 5 games in Summer League. And that's what the Kings want. You know, he steps into the franchise day one, really, as a 19-year-old who is getting the keys to the offense. And it's going to be a delicate balance for him. He still has some established, known veterans, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine, who would be likely in the starting lineup next to him. So he's going to have to navigate that. But everybody in Kingsland knows, including Sabonis and LaVine, that Acuff is part of this next wave of Kings, Scott Perry's biggest pick. And he's going to have the keys right away, and I think he's going to take a lot of shots.
And Zach LaVine, he was in Las Vegas to see Darius Acuff for 1 game, and he was impressed with him. He said, you know what, I really like his game. I think we're going to play well together. He understands that Acuff is the future of the franchise, and for however long he's there, that's going to be the backcourt for the Sacramento Kings. Like you said, Scott Perry, this is his first big draft pick. They're putting the ball in his hands. And Darius Acuff told me, hey, look, I know I'm going to be measured against Keaton Wagler and Michael Brown Jr. I welcome the competition, and I welcome being the face for the Sacramento Kings franchise. And remember, I'm from Detroit. This is the highest draft pick as a Detroit native for a very long time. So he is carrying a city and a region on his back, and he welcomes all of that.
Slater, I loved covering Yaxel Lindenborg. His versatility was on full display every game, but off the court, sensational interviews, so animated, so fun, plays with so much joy. But how much pressure is on Yaxel joining Steph Curry and, of course, a Warriors team where the expectations are just always really high?
He doesn't seem to think there's that much pressure. At least, you mentioned enjoying covering him. The sound bites have been incredible so far. Included in one of those sound bites, I asked him about his early conversations with Steve Kerr, and he mentioned, hey, Steve has a history of not playing rookies, but basically said, he's different, and Steve Kerr's already told him he might start. And I just thought it was interesting to already use the S word as a rookie playing in Summer League. But then guess what? He went out and won Summer League MVP. And I know he's older. He kind of you would expect him to have this type of run in Summer League, but he produced. And honestly, unless LeBron James comes to the Warriors, Jimmy Butler's out, Moses Moody's out, I actually do think he's probably going to start next year.
The moment you heard this news, LeBron, hey, he has all these offers on the table, but he goes to Philly. Give me the first thing that crossed your mind.
The first thing crossed my mind is, one, that the curse is over in Philly, and the process is actually processing. Now you get LeBron James. Now you're looking like a legit title contender with the addition of Jaylen Brown without having to give up your core group. And so you know what LeBron James is going to bring on the floor, right? The IQ, still playing at an all-NBA level. The effect that he's going to have offensively for us, making sure that he put guys in position to be successful. And then when you think about him and what he brings off the floor, he's going to bring that professionalism and that somewhat culture that they have been missing in Philadelphia and leading by example.